bringing you inside the USL Championship and League One.
Segmer's got there, Marquinhos! He's been knocking on the door! He knocks it down!
Diving into all the biggest stories and top headlines.
You are ripping and roaring today.
This is USL All Access.
It's almost impossible to recreate that level of magic.
With Mike Watts and Devon Kerr on Sirius XM FC.
Welcome, everyone. It's a new edition of USL All Access on this Tuesday evening. Mike Watts, Devon Kerr, Emmett McConnell. As has become typical, Devon, we're prepared to ramble. Let's get it on. Ton of national TV games to talk about. Abdellatif Aboukoura is the leading scorer in the championship right now. He's going to join us from Loudoun United. Jordan Stewart is the head coach at Monterey Bay. We'll see them on national TV this coming weekend as well. Excited to see him ahead of their game with Orange County. He's in the on-deck circle. Aboukoura is in the hole. Dev, you and I had a chance to work together more than I think we have at any point since the year 2022 in a one-week stretch.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, sir?
I came away quite satisfied. I can imagine that you didn't.
Hey, as long as the paying customers are happy, they keep coming back.
Who's the customer in this instance?
Who's paying?
Fair enough.
I just found out yesterday you get paid to call these games.
Yeah, it came up on air. I know you get paid in pretzels from Nick's German Kitchen.
Oh, my goodness. The pretzels from the Charleston Battery. I haven't decided if I'm overjoyed at the exhibition that took place of us being kind enough to send them pretzels. Credit, by the way, to the Charleston Battery organization for making that happen mid-game, or if I am truly distraught at the fact that still neither you nor I have ever had said pretzel.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I feel like I should bring this up because I brought it up to you on the 4th of July and then like 5 other people. I don't know what it takes for Emmett to put this song in for us, but Dev, Colorado Springs has a theme song, and I can't believe you didn't know it. My City, My Team, Switchbacks FC. A bunch of people,
aware of it.
You were aware of it, I guess.
You showed it to me years ago. That's been in the vault for a while, my friend.
I'm okay. I spoke to at least 5 other people who either produce or call games in the championship, and they didn't know that this amazing song existed.
I can't even believe 5 other people were willing to take your calls.
Yeah, well, I cornered them.
You're rambling, Michael.
Right. I am. All right, let's chat about the games this weekend. There's not going to be a lot to talk about on the Wednesday night game. Birmingham 0, Charleston 0. In a word, yuck. Birmingham did not have a shot on target until 90+2. There were 27 fouls. The field itself, a little bit foul. Dev, there was no rhythm in this game. The fact both teams got a point is better than the fact that both teams deserved none.
Yes, the overarching comments I would agree with. Yes, I think to be fair for both managers, there is a lot to take away from it in the sense of, look, if you're Ben Pierman, it's a tight week. You're on the road. Travel wasn't kind. They ended up getting diverted, had to fly to Atlanta, take a bus. Like, these things challenge you mentally and physically, and you're still able to escape with a point against a Birmingham Legion team led by Mark Briggs that defensively has gotten a lot better. I mean, they are very organized. I'm not surprised by that. What's surprising to me is that hasn't matriculated into really any sort of structure and certainly has attributed to lack of ideas going forward. They are anemic. That's, I think, the biggest takeaway here is you're the Legion. You kept the most potent attack in the championship at bay. And if you're the Charleston Battery, you survived a point. The problem for them is they would have to keep pace, successfully doing so, against Louisville on the weekend, but damage already done with Louisville's result over Colorado Springs.
Yeah, we'll chat about that in a sec. I will add, I'm salty because I had to call that game. The reality is Wednesday night, 90 degrees, Birmingham, Alabama, is not an easy task. And I will give immense credit for that. It wasn't a lack of effort. It wasn't a lack of care. All right, Friday. Look, it's become a tradition. I actually quite enjoy it.
Same.
I'm
not sure our families do.
No, I'm not going to say that in front of my wife. My month-old would not know the difference. But Colorado Springs hosting on the 4th of July. It's always a great atmosphere. It's always loud, boisterous, packed. The post-game fireworks, which we're able to see from our booth as we sort of sign off, always enjoyable. Danny Cruz told us a little bit about the relationship he has with his dad, he's a military lifer in the armed services, in the Army for that matter, that, I mean, really tugged at I think, my heartstrings, and hopefully, people felt that during the game, and really appreciative of Danny sharing in that, and sort of the difficulty of having his dad be away during really formative years, and how their relationship has blossomed in the time since. And I thought it was important on the 4th of July that, he goes, I hope this story tells kids it's okay to miss your mom and dad when they're away serving the country, and the context of them being away and why becomes much more clear later. I felt that was worthy of repeating in this medium. All that in mind, as for the game itself, Philip Goodrum, really good goal in the 9th minute. Sort of no-look turn, fires, hits off the inside of the post. Really good work. In the end, Dev, I think my big takeaway from the game, and you'll I'm sure speak to the game itself, was how angry Danny Cruz and even some of the players were in the aftermath of that.
Yes, based upon the fireworks that were on camera. But to me, it's more than that, Mike, because I give them credit for being upset, right? I give them credit for willing to share in a public environment. That's both Danny Cruz as well as the players. It's a testament to the character of each individual, the passion that they have in the locker room. But I think more so, this is where you look on the inside. You don't look at your manager. Danny's pissed, and he ain't wrong to be pissed. And the reason is because of a lack of identity and responsibility down the stretch. Now, this team is all about triggers defensively, how you're going to attack, where the press is going to come from, and then how you're going to build off of each other. I don't think there is any sort of idea that I would be able to tell you that they could display in the final 20 minutes of that game. And they were wheeling and dealing all over the pitch. Now, to be fair to them, the disruption really started about 15, 20 minutes in on the Manny Perez injury. Louisville was hot flying out of the gates. This was a wide-open game. It was fun to watch. And Manny Perez goes down. Evan Davila comes in. Now, the idea on the way they were going to attack the game at first was similar to the Loudoun. They played with 2 strikers, 3 midfielders. Then they allowed Taylor Davila to pivot a little bit higher. To me, the rest of the game, they never got it right defensively. I thought they struggled within that, and they never found balance. So if he was going to go, how did that look with the other 2 on the front, Serrano and Goodrum? They seemed to struggle within those relationships. Same thing with the 2 midfielders down underneath, and that affected their patterns. The good news for Louisville is this team can withstand the test of time when it comes to just absolutely being pounded, and I give them credit for it because they already had their goal, and they found a way to get a result. There was an interesting comment shared with me a week and a half ago. I was talking to Bradley Carnell after the Union went on the road against the Chicago Fire, and he talked about how his frustration was this and that, and, they should have done better, yada, yada. Mind you, this is coming from the winning coach. The losing coach, Greg Berhalter, turned and said to his group, that is a supporter shield team. That is what it takes in order to get a result. And to me, that's what you look at the Players Shield leading team in Louisville City. They weren't great. They didn't break, but they bent a ton, and yet still got out of Colorado Springs on travel, a short week, in altitude to get a result. I feel truly bad for James Chambers because I don't know what else they have to do. They give up a goal where Matt Mahoney should have stepped up on the set piece. Fine. They are creating, like, Mike, I'm the first one to say this is wrong and that is wrong and this not okay. That's not okay. I walked out of the game. You always want more. That team did enough to get a goal.
Yep.
That team did enough to get a goal against a really good defensive team, one of the best in the league. And another game, it didn't happen. Don't change. Keep pushing. Go get a striker in the transfer market. I anticipate them finding a way through all of this BS that has been.
Yeah, and hit the post for a 7th time in what could have been an equalizing goal, ball over the line or not. All right, we also had Charleston on the weekend against North Carolina. Finn Sundstrom is 17 and looks like a grown-ass man. He can hang. Whether he goes to UNC or not, I don't know. Carlos Imwano, I'm sure, hopes he does. Ikaza from Blackstock at 40 minutes. North Carolina, pretty decent account of themselves. They're going to be a really tough out for somebody in the playoffs, and whether that's a first-round game against Detroit or a 3-4 team Indy, or it's first or second round should they drop into those low seeds against a Charleston or a Louisville, that is not going to be a step over.
No, they're a bogey team in the playoffs for sure. I'm a believer, man. I'm a believer in the sense of their ability to get it done. I don't know whether or not they will, but this team, their level of organization, we talked about it yesterday in game, Mike. Defensively, they sit, clean lines, and for 70% of that game, they were willing to absorb and go the other way. They had really two chinks in their armor in the first half, one of which is obviously the goal. The second half, they became more adventurous. I don't believe they're healthy enough on the front line. Getting Evan Conway healthy into 90 minutes is going to be a big one, and then figuring out what your grouping is going to be. Luis Perez provides pressure. It's not the quality you need in order to be the finisher at a top level to consistently challenge teams like Charleston and Louisville. And give Ben Pierman's boys credit. They created more in carry. Defensively, they gave up more. That wasn't the case. I thought they did very well for themselves. They were patient, and that was the biggest thing to me. They did not force the tempo. They were good on the ball and enough to just continue to move. Everything in the opening 39 minutes told you this was going to be a stalemate. They stuck to their guns. Beautiful rotation on the right flank. Get the goal, and that's all they needed.
All right, a couple other results from the weekend. Indy 3-0 over Monterey Bay at home. Oakland, vital 2 points. Panos is off the schneid. Teams combined for 7 shots, 2 on target, 1 per team, and an own goal was the second for Oakland. Lexington at Adoku 34th minute, 1-0 at Phoenix. Phoenix without a shot on target at home. Pittsburgh saw Robbie Mertz goal on the 4th of July, holdout over New Mexico. Meanwhile, in Jaeger Cup, Dev, you called it, Tampa Bay beats Naples, top of their group all of a sudden. Elsewhere, Dev, Harvey Neville moves to San Antonio on loan from Phoenix, and then Sam Gleadle signing a new deal with Louisville through 26, option for 27. As Danny Cruz told us this week, if I'm doing overtime in the offseason, it means I did not do my job in June and July. It's a rash of re-signings for them.
I think for Gleadle, you also have to get healthy, and then he becomes one of their Swiss Army knives, right? Play him an outside back, wing back position. You can drop him in a high position within the midfield and certainly onto the front line as he's evolved throughout his career. Great bit of business, still young and plenty to offer. And I think for Harvey Neville, he needs reps. He's fallen behind. This was the starter, believe it or not, for Inter Miami for a point in time early on in 2023. We're 2 years removed from that, and yet with Timbers 2, Unloaded Loudoun, Sacramento Republic, now Phoenix Rising, you've been at 6 different teams in a 24-month span. He's got to get reps. He's got to maintain belief in himself that he can push through and get back to the quality level he was at before.
Yeah, and we talked to him ahead of the game between Phoenix and San Antonio earlier this year and actually quite enjoyed our chat and wishing him the best with new opportunity. All right, when we come back, a Monterey Bay head coach Jordan Stewart joins us, former Phoenix player, turned Monterey Bay head coach. We've got Abdellatif Aboukoura coming later in the show as well. This is USL All Access.
Let's get back to USL All Access on Sirius XM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
We're back here on USL All Access. If you miss any part of the show, it's available tomorrow on the USL YouTube page as well as on the Sirius XM app. As promised, it's a double interview week. Abdellatif Aboukoura of Loudoun is coming up later in the hour. As promised, however, we've got the Monterey Bay head coach joining us. Jordan Stewart finished his playing career in the league in Phoenix 2017, embarked on a coaching journey that's taken him through the Bay Area and now here to Monterey Bay late last season. He's played over 400 games as a professional, including stints in the Premier League and, of course, in MLS and the Championship here in the U.S. Jordan, this is a long time coming. Thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Thanks for having me. Great intro.
I mean, it was a good start. I mean, you did all the work.
A long time ago.
Yeah, well, it's some of us never. It's not about time. Some of us just never got there. Jordan, it's a pleasure to have you, man, in part because I've enjoyed the conversations we've had leading into broadcasts over the last close to a year now since you took over the club. But I think back, I was looking at notes from the first time you and I spoke when you got the job about the desire to have a team that was direct, but one that was willing to pass, but not for the sake of just moving the ball around without purpose. And you had a clear vision for what you articulated. And I'd love for us to start by just sort of going over what that vision was and what excited you so much about coming to Monterey Bay.
No, I think getting the position, obviously, last August was very fortunate. There's obviously other candidates, but lucky enough that I managed to get the gig. And I think you're trying to do twofold, right? You're trying to understand the team, understand the dynamics, trying to see who can play where and understand the team, but then also trying to win games. Not only win games, but have the access of trying to finish in the playoffs, which we didn't do. So I felt there was at the end of the last season, I still felt there was a style of what we wanted to play, how we wanted to enjoy the game, how we wanted to be entertaining for the fans. But then ultimately you don't make the playoffs, which is always the biggest question, right? Especially for organization that hadn't made it thus far. So then transitioning into this season, it was a lot of changes through staff and players. I think we let go of 14 players, I believe. So a lot of change in that aspect, and then you try and have them gel as quickly as possible, which I think we did do. And I think if you look at I think we're 15 or 16 games in now. At the start of the season, we went on a good transition of winning games and getting the momentum, and kind of now we're in that lull of not winning games, losing games, conceding some goals probably that we know we can do better in. But when you look at it, when you step back and really identify what the process of the season is, it's obviously reaching the playoffs, right? So understanding, and we had this conversation at the start of the season, the season's always going to be up and down. No matter if we start well or didn't start as well, it's always going to be up and down. And unless you're maybe one of the bigger teams that have always been there, like your Louisville's, and I think they're a good North Star for the league, especially when we've played them, right? You see why they are where they are. So it's refreshing, and also gives light of where we need to improve.
Yeah. Jordan Stewart, Monterey Bay head coach, joining us. We also spoke about that tail end of your career coming into the championship and how different it was from 2017, where, I mean, it was the Wild West back then, to where it is now. But what Monterey Bay has provided, having its own venue where, a lot of clubs didn't have that luxury not too long ago, and the training facilities that have been put together. Could you speak to what Monterey Bay has done to make this an enticing position for you?
No, I think Monterey, even from the inception, right, of having their own stadium. Obviously, we train here at the Grand, but facility-wise, probably like in the top half of the USL, and seeing, especially in 2017, of where games were being played. I think Phoenix was probably the outlier at that stage. With there was like me, Sean Wright-Phillips, Peter Ramage, obviously Didier Drogba, more their names than my name, but there was a lot of experience. So some of the places we used to go was a bit eye-opening, and how you used to travel and those types of things. So I think USL have come a long way, but I think especially what Ray Bischoff as the owner and the other investors have done for Monterey and the community to have a professional sports organization in the area is huge, and you see that on the weekends as well. So I think Monterey's in the right upward trend, and I think the USL is also an upward trend, especially if they do end up bringing another USL Premier or whatever they're ever gonna name it.
Yeah. No, I read the trademark news too. I'm not saying anything. I read it too. By the way, I heard from Rick Shantz back in the day that Didier used to have like barbecues at his house.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Were those parties lit, or were they like proper occasions?
No, well, most of the time it would be on a Sunday. We play on a Saturday, and it would be normally on a Sunday, and sometimes we'd have the Monday off. So yeah, now I'm retired. I said we had a few drinks.
Yeah, good for you. And usually after a win, that team.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the team at the time did well, and I think Didier just showed his personality as a player, right, and as a person, that even though what he'd done in the Premier League and at the international level, when we traveled Southwest, he was sitting next to us in the back, like he didn't travel on his own. Like we'd play like Nintendo Switch and stuff like that. So now great character, and was a great role model for the younger generation as well.
Amazing. I was looking back at your time at Watford, and I was sort of going, what's the best team you would have played in the Premier League? And there's a couple of results in the year you went down, but that Man United game away and that Chelsea game away where Drogba had a hat trick probably stood out the most, right?
Well, I remember that game because I think it was one of Drogba's first games or his first season, and he signed from like Marseille for like 24 mil. And at the time, it was a lot of money, and we had a Nigerian centre-back called Dan Shitu, and he was like 6'4", like wide as a door, and he just got bullied in that game. And it was that game where I started watching like Dids more, and that's how I became like a Chelsea fan. But yeah, during the time, I remember 04 Invincible season where it's like Henry, Bergkamp, Lundberg, Perez, Vieira, those types of players. So it was a good time to be in the league, but obviously the teams I was on wasn't as good as those teams, so a lot of losses as well.
A lot of lessons. Like I'm looking and I'm like, who scored on Watford? And the problem is a lot of people did, and I know, I know.
Exactly.
It's like Ronaldo and Rooney at the Theater of Dreams. It's like, oh man, it's like these are stories you tell your kids about.
Yeah, 70,000. You're losing like 4-0 in that in a low block, playing 5-4-1. It's not really the way you want to envision it.
No. It's funny though, because you've been on both sides of Pro Rel. Are you excited about the prospect? I mean, you mentioned USL Premier or whatever we're calling it. Yeah. I'm not saying anything. I'm just, once you stratify this out to enough divisions, does that genuinely excite you for the future of the game in this country, or do you just think it's additive and that's what it is?
No, for me personally, I think it would be great for North America, not only from a business aspect for the clubs, but I think also in players. I think because if you have a younger player that's playing maybe League One, is doing well, sometimes it's harder, right, to make the jump to the Championship, or even if you're playing MLS Next Pro to then go to MLS. So I think having an opportunity of not only just getting bought or traded to come up, but you can also come up with the team and have already be comfortable in the vision of the manager, the players that you're playing with. So it's an easier process for that player to then become, instead of maybe a good League One player, then he can evolve and be a great Championship player, and then maybe evolves to something else after. So I always try and look at it from the player perspective, because I think that's the biggest thing, that is the most important part of it. Yes, financially as clubs, you want to make money, and I don't know, maybe clubs that have spent money in the USL Championship don't really want it to happen, because then there's maybe access to losing money, which I understand that part, but I kind of look at more of the player side of it. It's a good opportunity for especially younger players to develop and make a name for themselves.
Do you still find yourself thinking like a player sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm lucky that I can kind of reflect on that. So I don't like to reflect on my career as such. I don't try and like determine, well, I did this, so you should do that. I just try and be in the perspective of how did I feel when I wasn't playing? How did I feel when I was injured? How did I feel where I was just in a lull and wasn't playing good? And then I just try and give them the story of how that process happens and how I can try and help them. Because I think you're dealing with 25, 26 different types of characters, right? And I think each person deals with things differently. Sometimes players can just be like that, but there may be an underlying issue that you maybe through conversation you can get at. So I just try and be honest and try and give feedback, and then use experience to learn from. So I think that ultimately, whether you're playing or not playing in life, you just have to learn from experiences in general, and then learn from them and evolve, and then help your experiences help others.
Yeah, and to that point, we're speaking with Jordan Stewart, the Monterey Bay head coach. I was talking to you about this a little bit last year. It was right after you had taken over, a handful of games into your tenure. And you said, I'm trying to give guys the confidence to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a prescient thing, because the season when you arrived was sort of teetering, and obviously didn't get the results you were looking for, but there's a long-term vision, and that comes with, it's uncomfortable changing in the middle of the season and not
100%.
knowing what your future is, and
Yeah.
giving them that confidence definitely feels like it comes from having played the game and been through it.
No, I think you can never have a perfect game, right? There's even strikers, they can be rubbish for 89 minutes. If they score a goal and you win the game, that's all everyone remembers. So
Right.
it's understanding that you're never gonna have a perfect game. You're gonna make mistakes. If you're making mistakes in the right areas or doing the right things, I'm never gonna be the one that's gonna get on your back. It's more of if you're making silly mistakes, or I don't know, if we're not picking up guys in the box, or we're not making runs because we didn't think we are going to get the ball. I think those are different kind of aspects. But if you're trying to do the right thing, or if you 1v1 and you don't beat the guy, next time you get the ball, try and do the same thing. Then when they double up, then maybe trying to change the action that way. So you always want to give confidence. Sometimes it's easier said than done, which is just the way it is, especially we're a younger squad. So it's just trying to develop that over time in training sessions, in games, while the game's going on. You try and give that, but then you also have to be honest with them, right? And make sure that we understand both sides. But ultimately, like, if you're doing something and you feel nervous all the time, then it's going to cause more problems than the success rate.
Yeah. Although it is kind of funny. You talk about strikers from your playing career being like, yeah, rubbish 99%, but score. What happens when you rubbish 99% where you played, man?
Yeah, no. Well, I was putting this. I was doing more defending than attacking.
Jordan Stewart's with us, regaling us. Look, you made reference to the amount of change you guys had over the offseason, but you brought in Garcia, been with you at the Town, Ivanovic, Soyberg, Fonguk, Muir. I'm looking through the roster. Paul, Gadiri, Campazano, Larson, Bryant, Gordon. I'm probably missing a couple, but what amazed me was you went overseas, you went to Scandinavia, you went down under, you went to Next Pro, you went to guys who have been in MLS, you went to guys in the championship. Like, it's very scattershot in where you looked. And the build isn't scattershot, but can you describe how you try and balance bringing in players from so many different silos and dropping them all in one bucket and trying to put it together?
No, I think that was the most exciting part of the off season. There was me, Simon Dawkins, who is now sporting director, and Ileon Carano, who's helping us with the scouting, but also data analytics as well. But I think with that, and then the new staff that was coming in, Jeremy Clark as my assistant, trying to just basically speak to coaches, be on Y-Scout, agents, kind of the normal way, but then understanding we didn't want to just pigeonhole ourselves, right? Wherever a player was from, if he felt like he could be part of what we're trying to build, was the most important part. But then also, yes, you can see something on film, and a highlight reel is probably always going to show the best version of them, right? But then it's from there, having conversations with them, like we are having conversations now, on like what's their short-term goals, what's their long-term goals, where do they see themselves, and where are they now? What can they improve on? And just to kind of get a feel of the person. I think that's the most important part, and seeing if they're going to gel, because I've been in locker rooms where you can, if you have bad apple, it can spread very fast. So making sure we have the right people in the build that don't want to be in Monterey for 3 years. That's not the goal. The goal is to be here, use a platform, and then propel to hopefully a higher league, or somewhere where you feel like you can evolve and get a better version of yourself. So that's the kind of the story we wanted to give the players. And to be honest, like it probably gelled faster than I thought it would, which is always a good thing, right? As a coach, and I think you've seen that in the first start of the season. Guys had that FU mentality, I should say, and then having that and going maybe some games where we shouldn't have won, but I think in general, like giving that the mindset of, yes, it doesn't matter if we're the underdogs, or it doesn't matter if the USL have put us to finish last, or whatever it is. Like, use that and use that fuel to propel you to where you ultimately want to be, which is in the playoffs.
Luckily, I've done a lot of things wrong, but I have not placed you guys last. So I've got that going for me. Jordan, I'll close with this, man. We're excited to have you on national TV on Friday night. You guys take on Orange County. which I
Yep.
feel like you've played them 11 times already
Exactly.
in the year that you've been here. It's so compact, right? Win tied for
Yep.
fourth, a loss, and there's so many teams that are so compact behind you. Tell America why they should watch your team on Friday night or watch this game.
No, I think, like you say, even though we've played each other this third time now, I think you're going to see a product on the field from both teams. I think OC, they play football as well, or soccer, should I say. And we always, especially at home, we bring that element of when we have the fans behind us, especially in the community that we have from whether it's Salinas, Monterey, Carmel, Seaside, Watsonville, all over. They always come out and give a good voice and give the excitement the community needs. And I think especially when you haven't been winning games and you can get a home game on Friday that's going to be on TV, there should be a lot of fire in the game, should I say. So hopefully the guys will bring it on the Friday, and I'm sure OC in their own with Danny and that. I feel like me and Danny are best friends now. The amount of times we spoke together on game day, but I think both teams are going to come out, look to try and get the 3 points, and kind of try and cement their run into the playoffs for the second half of the season.
Can't wait. It's Monterey Bay, Orange County, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN2. That was Jordan Stewart, head coach of Monterey Bay. Appreciate the time, man. Wishing you guys well and good health as you kick into the back half of the season.
Much appreciated for your time. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be back in a moment. We've got Abdellatif Aboukoura from Loudoun United, leads the Golden Boot race. He joins me and Devin after this.
Giving insight to all the biggest moments in Championship and League One. This is USL All Access on Sirius XM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everyone. It's USL All Access on this Tuesday night. Of course, if you miss a part of the show, it's available tomorrow on the USL YouTube page as well as on the SiriusXM app. We are as excited as we've ever been to have Loudoun United on national TV this week. You'll see them Sunday against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And the lead man for this incredible Loudoun resurgence joins us on the show. Abdellatif Aboukoura, 5th season since making his pro debut, 16 at the time at Loudoun. Fairfax native, came through the DC United Academy, signed an extension that sees him tied to the club through 2027. Late last season, through 15 matches, he is the championship's leading scorer with 11 goals, and notably with fewer pens than Cal Jennings. Just saying. I'm just saying. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you. And you're not a pen merchant. I love it.
No, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, look, man, it's been an incredible season for you, for Loudoun United. How satisfying has this been? Have you been soaking this in at all?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, the group and I for sure had high challenges for ourselves and expectations for ourselves coming into this year. So it's nice that we're able to hit a few of them, and there's still a lot to be accomplished.
You talk about expectations. So let's go back a couple of seasons. Obviously been around the club a long time, been around Ryan Martin, your head coach, a long time from your academy days, signed as an academy player to start, first pro contract last year. The club has changed in such a wide variety of ways, right? It was the developmental path, the affiliation with DC United, new ownership group a couple of times on Loudoun's end. I want to go big picture here. Throughout it all, no matter what, you've stayed. Tell us why. You trust this process and journey. Why?
I think Ryan gives me a lot of trust, and I've known him before I even joined Loudoun when I was in the academy, and I would train an age group up with when he was the head coach for the older age groups, and he just gives the players a sense of trust, and you feel comfortable with him. And obviously Loudoun, like you mentioned, has changed and evolved throughout the years, but Ryan's always been the same, and I think that's why a lot of guys always come back to Loudoun and why guys trust Loudoun.
You know, you come into this from a personal perspective at 16 years old, and it was a different time for Loudoun United in the sense that it was this hybrid concept of it's owned by its own sort of entity, but DC United is in charge of how they handled players at the time, and so many young players involved in that group. So there were sort of like different objectives going on at the same time. But describe coming into that environment at such a young age, but also how guys like Drew Skundrich and Robbie Dambrot and Florian Valo and Zach Ryan, and I go right down the list. Some of these guys who've been around the block a little bit more, whether it be in the earliest days or maybe more now as the team has matured into a winner at this stage, have impacted you at a young age in your career?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I first came into Loudoun at 16, there wasn't many veterans on the team, and there was a lot of young guys, like you mentioned, and a lot of academy guys, and it was still a pro environment, and there's still older guys, but I think everyone there was just getting started in their career, where now you have guys that have had successful careers and have had long careers in the USL and the MLS abroad. So the experience that is available on the team now is completely different to what was available back then. And the guys you mentioned, like Drew, Flo, Zach, all those guys are very humble people that have had careers and still hungry to do more, still hungry to win, but also know how to manage different things.
Let's go back 3 years, but jump 2 years ahead of your first season. Everybody at home knows math's not my strong suit, so blessings for me being able to do that on the fly. It's the end of 2022. You're 18 years old, and you decide that you want to take a shot at Europe. And you spoke to our senior director of editorial, Nicholas Murray, and you had an opportunity to trial with a couple of clubs, right? It didn't work out for you. You said no regrets, right? That your biggest takeaway was what it took to be a pro player. Can you maybe break that down for me? Number one, why maybe the understanding wasn't there to begin with? And number two, what was the one thing that really made you step back and go, okay, this is what I need in order to achieve my dream?
Yeah, I think when I took that challenge abroad and tried to go to Europe, I think what I learned and is that the way that soccer is played and the technical aspect or even the physical aspect, but a lot of it comes down to a mental part of it. And when I was joining those teams in Italy, especially, and you just feel like the feeling might be a little different in the sense that there's no other option other than to win or to give 100%, and maybe when I had the Loudoun team that I was a part of that I first left was maybe a bit younger, so that feeling wasn't there. But in what I felt and what I know I needed to achieve to become a pro was the mental part of the game. Yeah.
Good for you. Let's stay on your travels. I was enamored within that conversation again with Nicholas Murray, and you specifically referenced what had been this offseason, a trip to Dubai. Your grandfather, you said, had been there for 3 generations. Your dad recently moved there. You were familiar with the area. Reference players at a high caliber, Christian Benteke, DC United. People have probably heard of him. You've probably gotten a chance to be around him before, but this was a little bit more one-on-one. And people talk about the physical growth that you've achieved, your strength, your power that you've brought back to the States. Can you talk about maybe whether picking it up from Benteke or another player or two that you had an opportunity to train with, more tactically related? Is it runs? Is it the way you see the game, balls and how you're distributing? Maybe things like that you picked up from your trip in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, to be around someone like Christian Benteke during an offseason is unique because obviously everyone knows what he's like during the season. Very focused, very sharp. The guy doesn't stop scoring goals. But then during the offseason, to me, it was a different environment because you'd think that he's much more relaxed. Going into the offseason, he had just won Golden Boot, beat Messi and Suarez in goals. So you'd think that he'd be relaxed, but it felt like he never really took off days, and it felt that he was always just pushing more. And what I learned from him is like you mentioned, like timing of certain things. I was definitely a player when I was younger to just run around, look for the ball. But he always mentioned, like, let the game come to you, be patient on the field. So that's something that I definitely, I'm still learning and learn from him, is just to kind of not overthink things and just trust in your abilities and let stuff come to you.
Abdellatif Aboukoura from Loudoun United joining us here on the show. It's USL All Access. When you go for a water break, if you're training with Benteke, does he win headers over you then too?
Yeah.
This dude's a monster.
There's no chance of winning a header over Benteke. There's no chance.
I was talking with the current Tampa Bay interim. Obviously, it was with Loudoun last year, Stevie Coleman. A little bit about how close you were to this level of output last season, and he said all the work that he watched you put in has paid obvious dividends this year. When did it feel different?
For me, when I first came into preseason, obviously I felt a little different, but I think it was before then. I think it was in the offseason. I kind of just had mentally prepared myself that this is just what's going to happen. There's no other option. I felt like last year there was moments and games where I felt like I'm doing well and doing what I want to do, but there always felt like a disconnect between what I wanted to do and what I was actually doing, and there wasn't that flow state. But maybe 2-3 weeks before preseason, when I first got back to Virginia from my off season, I just kind of told myself, like, you just have to go in and do what you love doing, which is playing football, which is, kicking the ball. And then immediately in preseason, stuff was going well. The team immediately obviously clicked because most of us came back from last year, and then from the first game of the season, stuff has just been thankfully going well. And I'm not a type of person to really think too far ahead in the future. My goal is just one game at a time, and that's the same mentality that I'm still sticking with.
3 seasons prior to 2025. Again, the math shows up. Quick maths. Appreciate everybody at home. It's sticking with me. 47 appearances in all competitions, 10 goals to your name. You've got 11 league goals in 15 matches this year. Cap on another 3 spread between Open Cup and Jaeger Cup. That's 14 and 21. That's not too shabby, my man. And you kind of talked to us about your growth, right? How you've tried to attack game in preseason. Is there any area of the field that you feel like you've taken a step up that is attributed to the most amount of success, specifically you being able to hit the back of the net?
I think it's just getting into the right spots. Like I mentioned before, I was chasing the game too much in the past, and now it's just like waiting, being patient, and getting myself closer to goal. Being more efficient, understanding that if I take 10 shots from outside the box, what's my expected goal? If I take 10 shots from inside the box, what's my expected goal? So trying to get more into the box, trying to, get into better spots to get me those goals. And like I mentioned, like maybe in the past, I felt like there was moments where I was able to do that, but not consistently. And I think this year, what's really going well for me is just the consistency of me doing the right things.
We got a couple fun ones for you on the way out, but the last serious one, which has really intrigued me, is you had an opportunity a couple of years ago to represent Egypt at the U20 youth national team level. That was back in 2022. One would imagine, or at least on your side, and selfishly for us, would hope that if this quality of form, we'll say this quality of form continues, that more national team opportunities come. Now, with your birth lineage, you would also have the opportunity at the United States youth national team level. In a perfect world, we're sitting around the table 20 years from now. Who have you represented and why at the highest level?
I don't know. I think I obviously have lived a good amount of my life in the U.S. and there's a lot of my family is here in the U.S. and I was born here. But at the same time, I love Egypt, and my parents and all my family is from Egypt. I don't really think I can answer that question. Yeah, I think that both of them are very meaningful to me, and I can see myself playing for both. I've only ever played for the Egyptian national team, so maybe that's where I'm leaning towards right now. But to be honest, the U.S. national team, if I were to get called up, that would be an honor for me. So I don't think that's a question I can really say yet.
And obviously a future business career that will be prospering in politics as well, not trying to piss off either federation. That's really well done, buddy. Ryan has schooled you in the tactics of PR. Well said. All right, I said the hard hitters were coming. I got to start with this one. Every single time that I have an opportunity to interact with Ryan Martin, your head coach, he always refers to you by your nickname. Never explained it, never said anything. It's Bushi, right? That's how we pronounce it. I got to know, what's the origin of Bushi?
Yeah, Bushi. I mean, I don't know where the origin is. I've just been being called that since I can remember. All I know is my grandfather made it, and he has a nickname for everyone in the family, and mine just is Bushi. I don't know what it means. Every year I get a new definition. I don't really know what to believe anymore. So yeah, family, friends call me that, and yeah.
Is this one of those situations where mom or dad are using your real name, you've gotten yourself into hot water, or does the real name still fly? My house, if my first name if my mom says Devin, I know I'm up the creek.
Yeah, if I hear Abdellatif, then something's up.
Bushi it is. I love it. Let's stay with it, man. with the quality of form that has been, your name has already been kind of thrown around with some awards around the USL Championship. We're halfway through. You're still involved in multiple competitions. Awards like Young Player of the Year, certainly on the goal scoring side, the Golden Boot, you could be involved, USL Best 11. Do any of those awards carry any special meaning? Were they part of your goals that is set out at the beginning of the year? Basically, what thought process do you view those through?
Obviously, those are amazing, but to be honest, it's just Pittsburgh that's on my mind. It's just this Sunday. If I think too far ahead, I had those goals last year. Last year I came in and I just kept thinking about young player, and I think that there was certain things in my hand and out of my hands that didn't go well. But this year it's those would be great, but I just want to go beat Pittsburgh.
We actually share some mutual friends on the representation side of things. That's another conversation another time. Have you spoken to the powers that be about the possibility of a hand sponsorship? Are we rolling with Pantene Pro V? Is this more of an Herbal Essence type deal? What do we got working in the bathroom to keep those locks of love going? Got a heck of a head of hair there, man.
It's the Moroccan shampoo.
Oh, you get it imported, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Love that. Love that for you. We've had a couple of players on. We've started this new trend. The last one is going to be the one that everybody else has had the opportunity to speak about. It's kind of the greatest that have ever been able to play in the USL Championship. A couple fun ones before that. Your favorite Loudoun jersey over the years? You guys have had some fun ones that you've rolled out.
I really like this year's white kit.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I think one that I didn't wear actually, but I think it was 2019 a black kit. I really liked that one. I never actually wore it, but I remember watching it on TV and I just really liked the kit.
Black, simple black sponsor middle, badge 3 stripes, right? I think.
Yeah, it was
very
Adidas.
clean. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh, God, that's first year. That was so good. Amazing. Favorite away team, the stadium to play at, and why?
Stadium, I'd say Louisville, but trip overall, I really enjoy the Orange County trips. The West Coast and the beach, I really enjoy that.
Oh, it's terrible. The nice weather, the sun, you get an opportunity for that. Absolutely. I'm with you on that one. How about whether because of high level of competition, stylistically or tactically, the way that you're deployed, your favorite team to play against?
Rhode Island was a fun one this year. I really enjoyed playing against them this year. Who else?
Tell us why you liked playing against Rhode Island.
It was just one of those games where you found space, and it went well for all of us. And I like those. I really enjoy those games. Who else?
What you really mean there is, we won 2-0. We were down to 10 men, and I scored a brace. Come on, Devin, do the math.
Yeah. But it worked out.
Love that. Last two, buddy. If you're not watching Loudoun, if you're not playing against another team, right? Obviously, in tape, I was referencing for Loudoun. Who do you like to watch around the league?
I really like San Antonio. I really like Jorge Hernandez. I think what he does is fantastic, and I really enjoy that.
Well said. Love that. Last one, I referenced it earlier, kind of the USL Championship Mount Rushmore. If you could put 4 or 5 players up on a mountain, have their faces carved in and enshrined into championship lore forever, who are some of the best, in your opinion, that have ever donned a jersey in the championship competition, and why?
All right. So I would say Speedy Williams.
Yes.
I think I made my debut against him and he's still around and he's won so much. So for sure, I put my own teammate Florian Valo up there. He's unbelievable, and I think I just learned so much from him. Let's see who else. I would put. This is a close one to me. I mean, I played with him as well. Theodore Pietro. He's at Colorado right now in the Rapids, but
Teddy two-step, man. Love Teddy.
I just
Great
remember
shout.
him tearing apart defenses for Loudoun, so I put him up there. This is where my youth is showing because I know there's some legends out there, but I can't remember the names off the top of my head.
There is no wrong answer here. You're good.
How many? That's 3?
That's 3. Give me one more. I noticed you haven't picked any goalkeepers that got the better of you.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of goalkeepers, to be honest. No, I would put from goalkeepers. I remember playing against Jordan Farr. I know he's at DC now. He was there for a while, and I played against him a lot. Yeah.
Works for me. Works for me.
Jordan sneaking in the back door.
Yeah,
Against
I'm just putting guys that I remember playing against, and I remember sharing the time with.
Oh, he's like, I don't really know if I picked anybody with any pedigree, just guys that have won titles all over the entire league.
Yeah. If you want a title, then it's good, no?
I mean, look, Neil Collins actually built an Eastern Conference champion just on guys that he didn't like playing against. So,
Bingo.
hey, look, Abdellatif Aboukoura, appreciate the time, man, and you've been off to a great start. Hopefully it's just the beginning for you, and we've so enjoyed watching you play this year.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You'll see Loudoun in Pittsburgh on Sunday night, CBS Sports Network. Devin and I are back to tell you about the Open Cup quarterfinals, which continue on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's after the break here on USL All Access.
You're listening to USL All Access on Sirius XM FC. Here are your hosts, Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
We're back on USL All Access on this Tuesday night. We've got 2 games, Devin, on national TV this week from the championship. We'll be calling both of them. Friday night, Monterey Bay and Orange County. Monterey win. They move to a tie for 4th. They lose. They could drop as low as 11th with other results. Orange County, 2-3 games in hand on everyone. Should be a fun one.
Should be. They're going to get Yannis Learman, Loudoun United, on the back line back from his red card suspension. The problem is, you and I were just talking about it, you lose some flair and quality up top. Zach Ryan suspended after his 32nd minute red card against Orange County. We'll get to them in a sec. I need this team to be tighter defensively. There's no doubt in my mind with the way they go about their business, they can break anybody down, but they seem to overexpose themselves. The good news is they get in their own way. The bad news is that would play right into the hands of Pittsburgh. As tight as they can be, they will be willing to let you make the mistakes. Bob Lilly and the greatness that is for the Riverhounds, he will sit there and be ready to pounce. Augie Williams is going to get on his high horse to start flying in behind that back line any chance he sees fit.
Yep, that'll be Pittsburgh and Loudoun Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time over on CBS Sports Network. All right, Dev, let's chat about the Open Cup real quick. Whether championships in or out, we still talk about it because it matters. CBS Sports Network's got Minnesota, Chicago. We've got that. It's airing right now on CBS SN. San Jose, Austin, the late game on Golazo tonight. And then tomorrow, Philly, Red Bull, CBS Sports Network at 7 p.m. You and I have Nashville, D.C. on the Golazo Network. Best game of the bunch.
Best game of the bunch, Minnesota, Chicago.
Yeah.
Not even a question to me. I wonder how much Austin can sustain against San Jose. There are great storylines behind, BJ at Nashville. Thank you. Sorry very much. And, of course, what's going on in Philly. But I think Eric Ramsey, Greg Berhalter, this is going to be a fun one. I think it'll be wide open, filled with a lot of activity back and forth, stylistically very different.
Most likely champion of the remaining 8 teams.
Minnesota United. I think Eric Ramsey, to me, I would have said it before our opportunity to chat with him. I think they're going to go for it, man. The path for them is clear. They have the opportunity to host at home, and their bench is deep. They've got young players who have gotten experience in quality games early on. I don't see how you could convince me otherwise. Other teams struggling with depth and injuries. Minnesota United ready to rock.
Give me Nashville. I think DC.
It's my second choice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the opposite sides of the bracket. All right, Dev, you learn anything this week?
I learned that it is possible for you and I to tell time. Inside joke. Cat was walking.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Yeah, I learned 5 games in a week is tough. For Devin, Emmett, Mike, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday night. So long, everybody.
This is USL All Access. If you missed any portion of the program, listen back anytime on the SXM app.